What surprised me the most was probably how close the drivers got to getting like first, second, or third.
Hello again and welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host, Jason. And recently I've been talking about doing new things, getting out, exploring new things, and kind of intermixing those with the things that you have done in the past and things that you continue to do that you enjoy doing, you know, those traditional things that you do year after year. And one of those things that my family likes to do is we are a tractor pulling family. I've been tractor pulling since I was 4 years old. My dad has been doing it. And when I was 14, I started driving, and we've been pulling in a local mini rod club for, the better part of 30 plus years. So it's something that my family has been doing a long time, and it's something that my kids are starting to enjoy going to and seeing. And towards the end of June is always one of the biggest tractor pulls in the nation, honestly. And it is the Tomah Dairyland Super National pull. It's not a pull that I take a part of because those are some pretty big league guys that do this. It's a pull that I've attended as a kid and have attended, a few times as an adult. And it's always fun. They've got different sessions throughout the weekend, and you can go see some of the best truck and tractor pullers basically in the country come and pull right here in the state of Wisconsin. So it's always been a great experience for me to go with family and friends and just hang out for the day and just see some really great pulling, see some really cool equipment, and just have a good time. But I thought it'd be interesting to get a new perspective this year on what Tomah is like. For those of you that aren't familiar with the sport of truck and tractor pulling, it's a very family-orientated sport. A lot of families always get together, a lot of families pull together, and it's always been a really family-friendly, kid-friendly sport to be around. So you always see a lot of kids around and a lot of kids experiencing things, and drivers and pit crews and officials are always go out of their way to make kids feel special and make kids more comfortable around the equipment. So this year, I decided that it would be a good idea to take my oldest daughter to Tomah for the first time. Better yet, I thought it'd be kind of a neat idea to have her come on the podcast with me to kind of share her experiences about Tomah and maybe give your family an idea that you should go check out a pull, or not necessarily Tomah, but if you have never been to a pull, it's a good idea to maybe experience one for the first time. So without further ado, I welcome my oldest daughter, Velda, to the podcast. Welcome, Velda.
Hi, Dad.
We went down for the Friday show. Tomah's broken up into 5 sessions. They pull a Thursday night session, they pull a Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday night. I always kind of like going to the Friday one, because the afternoon one, it's not a lot of people. There's still a good crowd. And then you get the Friday night and the crowds get a little bit bigger, but they're not as big as they are on Saturday. And you get to see a lot of good equipment. Being in central Wisconsin, we're probably about 2 hours from Tomah. So we got going, and about 9 o'clock we got on the road, and we went and picked up my father-in-law. He went down with us this year. So it was kind of a neat experience for him to be along with Velda on her first Tomah experience as well. So we picked him up. We got down there about 11 o'clock, and you walk to the recreational park in Tomah where the pull is held. And honestly, first impression, you really can't see much, can you?
No.
What did you think walking up to the gates the first time? What were some of your thoughts you were thinking?
I was pretty excited to go there for the first time and see all the things to see.
What do you think you were the most excited to see?
Probably the bigger stuff.
Yeah, the big tractors?
Yeah.
The ones with the multi-engine tractors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like seeing the ones with that all that smoke come out too.
Oh yeah, yep, some of the diesel tractor classes. Yeah. And that's kind of nice about the day that we had. The first session, the noon session, we got to see mini rods, which are close to us because we pull mini rods, not quite to the caliber that these guys pull them. But then we got to see some alcohol burning tractors and we got to see some diesel trucks, and then we got to see a couple of diesel tractor classes, and then we got to see the Unlimiteds with the 4-engine tractors. What was your impressions? Because this is a 2-track event. This is the first time I think you've ever been to a track or a pull where there's 2 tracks. What did you think of that?
It was a little strange at first, but then you got used to it. It was sometimes it was kind of hard to see a little bit of the second track if you were on if you were on the opposite side of it.
Yeah, because what they do is they've got their sponsor boards that break up the center of the track. So if you're on the grandstand side or if you're on the pit side, yeah, one side you definitely get a very clear shot of the track, and the other side you don't get that. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to take pictures, and that's something that you're starting to pick up, and that's why I think you found that a little bit difficult on that opposite side. The one side you got some really nice pictures of, but that was kind of the challenge there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What surprised you the most when we started watching that first session?
That they had like all those like tractors on one track while the other people pulled on the other track. I thought they'd clear both the tracks.
Okay, yeah. See, what they do is to keep the show moving. For those of you who've never been there, that they got one track and they've got a track crew that prepares each track between pulls. So that track crew keeps moving from side to side. So they kind of, as one's going, they're preparing the track for the other one. And yeah, sometimes you don't know where to look, or sometimes that makes it difficult to see a little bit too, because the track crew is in front of you while the other side might be going. So yeah, there's some little challenges that way. I think the best class that we saw were the mini rods, weren't they? That was a good class. What surprised you about them, knowing how we pull compared to how they pull?
Well, they were kind of like, they leaned to the side, and they were just a bit like kind of crazy at times. Yeah,
they can get pretty wild, and they really move fast, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the noise?
It was louder than I expected it to be.
Yeah. If you go, wear earplugs, no matter what age you are. We highly recommend you wear earplugs, don't we?
Yeah.
When we got there, the announcers explained to us that the mini class is, well, what did they say about the mini class?
The second loudest class.
Yeah, and then what was the loudest class?
The Unlimited.
The Unlimited. So they were both in that first session that we watched. So on one track, the minis were pulling, the second loudest, and on the other side of the track, the Unlimiteds were pulling. So it was like we were getting the whole force of noise, sometimes at the same time, if they would both be pulling at the same time, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then, even if you have earplugs in, sometimes you still had to cover your ears.
Yeah, I had to cover my ears for the Unlimiteds, too.
Yeah. And some of that is because we were on the grandstand side. There's 2 sides. There's a grandstand side. There's a pit side. And the pit side is open. There's nothing above you. So you're right out there in the open. So the noise doesn't quite... It's still loud, but it's not quite as bad as where we are in the grandstands, where it kind of echoes through the grandstands a little bit. But it kind of adds to the excitement of it a little bit. I mean, you can feel the rumble in your chest when they go down through there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That first session was a lot of fun. And I think what's nice is it's about 3 hours. That first session lasted about 3 hours. I'm not sure how many hooks we saw. We had to, I don't know, there was quite a few. There was over 20 in that mini rod class.
Yeah.
So it was a big class, but it was a good class. What did you think after that whole first session was over with?
I thought it was a very good pulling session.
Were you done with it at the end of that? Would you have had enough, or were you excited to see the next session?
I was excited to see the next session.
That session got over about 3. And the next session didn't start until 7. So we had a lot of time in between there. But what were some of the things we did in between?
Well, first we had to go get some food because we did not eat lunch. So we grabbed some cheeseburgers, and then we went and looked at all the things there were to see. And then we went and visited the pullers.
Yeah. So there's tons of food stands. It's like a mini carnival around there. There's no rides, but all the food stands you would expect at a carnival are there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, anything. There was shrimp, I mean, you could get, which we kind of found a little bit weird, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would be daring enough to try shrimp at a tractor pull, but I mean, of course, you got the cheese curds. We had to have cheese curds, didn't we?
Yep.
There's also a big flea market there. So if you're into flea market type things, you can walk around and see all that, which we checked it out. We had plenty of time. So we walked around and checked that all out. And one of the things that I think is really great about tractor pulling is the fact that the drivers in the pits are open to you coming to them and looking at their equipment. I mean, you can get right up and personal with these tractors, can't you?
Yep.
You can look and see how they're built and see them working on them. And that one tractor, what were they doing? You remember what they were doing in that one?
I think they were switching the engines.
Yeah. They had a bunch of equipment there. They were pulling an engine and getting it ready for the night session. So, I mean, you could stand there and you could watch them do the whole thing. It's, for those of you that maybe have been to an NHRA drag racing event, it's a lot similar to that, except there's no fencing. You can get almost to the point where you're in their way, in a way, can't you?
Probably, yeah.
But, I mean, you can walk the whole pits. You can see all the equipment, see guys getting ready for the session, see tractors. We went and got our picture next to the winning mini rod, which was really cool for us. What was the cool part for you about being able to walk around the pits?
The paint jobs.
Paint jobs, yeah, no kidding. They're really elaborate, aren't they?
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't familiar with pulling, that has been in pulling since the beginning is really elaborate paint schemes that either have some sort of theme to them or just, I mean, some of these paint schemes are better than what you'll see on show cars, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're and just immaculate. These vehicles are so clean that you can't believe that they were just out in the dirt pulling, can you?
No.
No, it kind of makes us look bad when we don't clean ours up as much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, what was one of the things that you're able to get in the pit area that you thought was really cool?
Hero cards?
Yeah, can you explain what hero cards are?
They're cards that tell you information about the tractors or mini rods.
Or the drivers. Or,
yeah.
Yeah. So, they're basically, this is bigger on the Grand National end of it, that drivers will put together these hero cards, basically, and just like she said, they're pictures of the tractor. They give you the information, maybe their point standings from a year ago, and they're there for the taking. Kids get them, adults get them. I always think they're really great for kids because it lets them gives them the courage to walk up into the pits a little bit, grab one of these cards, and you start learning. If you're fortunate enough, maybe a driver would sign one. Most of the drivers that we got them from, they weren't around, so we weren't able to get anybody to sign them. It's really kind of neat for the kids. It's almost equivalent to like a baseball card in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you collected as many as those you could get.
Yeah.
And it was, it's always a nice way to let the kids connect a little bit more with the drivers, let them get a little bit more information about the drivers and start learning about tractor pulling a little bit more for those that aren't familiar with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we did all that. We walked through the pits. We still had some time. Then what did we do?
We went and got cheese curds.
We went and got our cheese curds after that. Yep. Yeah, we had to sit down and we had to make sure we got some good cheese curds because, that's important, right?
Yeah.
We're in Wisconsin. You gotta have cheese curds. After that, we had a little bit of time to kill. Then we decided to go up and get our seats, didn't we?
Yep.
The night shows tend to fill up pretty fast. So we actually sat down probably about an hour and a half before those shows started. It's kind of a neat opportunity to see them getting the pull ready before the pull starts, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're finishing up the track work. They're getting the eliminators set. And so you get to see kind of some of that stuff before the action really gets going. So we got into the second session. What was the one you were really excited for?
Super semis.
Super semis. That was really cool. And of course, they saved that one for the end, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. What surprised you about them?
Probably that a lot of them kind of broke down.
Yeah. It was kind of a rough night for some of those guys, wasn't it? They had a bit of a hard time getting things going, but they saved the best for last, didn't they?
Yeah.
What happened to the last two?
The last two went out and beyond.
They
got first, and then they had to do
They had to do the pull off.
Yeah.
So the last two pullers in the semi class were the two best pullers. So in the midst of the first few breaking down, We finally got to see what we came to see, and that was the super semis just completely dominate the night. It was a really impressive run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When you look back at your first Tomah experience, what sticks out to you the most?
What surprised me the most was probably how close the drivers got to getting, like first, second, or third. That was probably the most. Like, one would go, and then another one would go, and then it'd get first, and that one would put down to second.
Yeah, the competition is really close. I mean, and that's one of the great things about going to a pole of this caliber is everything is within a tenth of an inch. So that makes it fun, though, because you never know. You always had to look back at the big scoreboard, didn't we?
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I brought you on the podcast was to give that kid perspective of an event like this. Would you say that this event was kid-friendly?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
There was a lot of action, so, I mean, some younger kids might get a little bored because they're little, but there was just a lot of action, so you never really got bored.
If you were to tell one of your friends about it, what would you say about it?
It was a very good experience.
Yeah? What was your favorite part of the whole thing?
The super semis.
Super semis. Yeah. She liked the super semis. It kind of makes it easy when the first one that comes out kicks out flames and everything, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. So I think it's important that we try to get out and we share those experiences that we have with somebody else and somebody new and give them that experience, because I think that's what getting out and exploring Wisconsin is all about. It's not just experiencing something new for yourself, but it's also about taking that experience that you have at an event, hiking trail or anything, and sharing that with somebody new and giving them that first time experience. What do you think? Do you think you're going to go back again?
Yeah.
What would you be looking forward to seeing the next time?
Probably some more tractors that give a lot of smoke. I like those.
Yeah, the diesel tractors. Yeah, they're always a lot of fun to watch. So again, get out there, share some of those experiences you have with your family members, with your kids. Get your kids involved. This is a great time. Other than a few Instagram posts, I never touched my phone, did I?
Nope.
We never touched a phone. We never touched an electronic. We were in the moment the whole time we were there, and I think you had a lot of fun, didn't you?
Yep.
I think Grandpa had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. So get out there and share those experiences that you have with somebody new. Show them that there's more out there than maybe what they think is out there. I mean, I know you knew Tomah existed, but I don't think you really understood what Tomah was all about, did you?
No.
And now you do, and now what would you say to your friends?
Go to Tomah next year.
Definitely go to next year. Tomah or the NTPA isn't paying us to promote their event or anything here. It was just something that I knew was your first time going, and I wanted you to share a little bit about some of the things you saw and whether or not that you felt it was good for kids to come and experience and whether it was kid-friendly. But I think it's important to share kind of your view a little bit on what you saw and how it was and some of the things that you liked about it. All right, so we're going to wrap up this episode, this podcast. Thank you, Velda, for coming on and sharing your experiences with me.
You're welcome.
Definitely, in the next few weeks, find an event that maybe you've got experience with and share that event with somebody new and help them to get outdoors and be one of Wisconsin's outdoor explorers. Thanks again for joining me. I am your host, Jason, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.